Hello everyone, welcome to PHTV Channel 4 in Palos Heights. I'm Sue Jankowski and we are around Palos. And this time we're around Palos Hills because we are talking about Moraine Valley Community College. And we're really glad to have Tommy Hensel back. He was here a few years ago, I think, at this point now. And Tommy, welcome back to the program here today. It's nice to see you again.
Well, thanks. It's nice to be back and actually be able to talk about a season after so long.
Exactly. Well, Tommy is the, I have this right, Managing Director of the Fine and Performing Arts Center.
Correct.
That's what he does there. And so, yes, I guess that's the thing that we are all so excited about, is that things are getting back to, I won't even say normal, but at least to a point where we can enjoy maybe getting out and going to the Fine and Performing Arts Center. So knowing that, knowing you were closed down just like everybody else, what could we expect? Are things back to the way they were? And do we have any safety protocols just in case we're headed that way?
Well, they're not back exactly the way they were, obviously, because I don't think it's that way anywhere. And we do have a lot of safety protocols. So, you know, now if someone comes back to the Fine and Performing Arts Center, obviously we're not going to be at full capacity. In the classrooms at the college, they decided to mandate for the starting of this semester to have 3 feet of social distance between students in classrooms. So we talked to them and they said you can do that in the auditorium as well. So it's not 3 feet between every person, but it's 3 feet between every group of ticket buyers. So if you bought 4 tickets, you would be sitting together with your 3 other people, but we would block out all the seats, one around you. So our capacity has gone down from 600 to about 275.
Well, that's quite a jump from, you know, what it could be.
Yeah, but you know, at this point, we felt like obviously the college mandates a lot of this, but for safety reasons, we felt like that was a nice compromise, because you know, theaters in Chicago and other areas are doing full capacity with a vaccine requirement. We are not requiring vaccination proof, but we are requiring health screening for anybody who comes into the auditorium. So they have to either use an app that we provide them a link for, or fill out a paper form to attest that they don't have any COVID symptoms and have not been around someone with symptoms, so that we can be assured that at that point when they come into the building, they've told us they're healthy. And we also have a mask mandate, so while you're in the building, you need to wear a mask.
Okay. Now, can those things be done like ahead of time, or are you standing in line outside and you're filling out this form?
It's
What's happening?
It's a little bit of both. So what I urge people to do is to actually go to the website and download go to the website that we give them and put it on your phone. So if you're coming back more than once this season, all you have to do is open it up, attest that day that you're fine, and it shows a screen that says you're okay, and it's really quick and easy. If you don't do the phone, then yep, you do have to come in and stand in a line and fill out a form, which is actually pretty quick.
Okay. Well, that's good. And wearing the mask indoors is good. And it's also nice to know you can sit with the people you came with.
Exactly. You're not all spread out like one.
Hey, I really enjoyed this.
No, that was really important to us. And, you know, and so the reason we can't tell you what our capacity is that it depends on how many people are buying blocks of tickets, because our ticketing system automatically does this for us. We don't have to actually block out seats.
Oh, that's great.
So if you bought 5 tickets, we would then lose 12 seats around you.
Oh, wow.
So we don't really know how many people we can get into the auditorium until we until we look at a map and go, oh, we're maxed out.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, so it's almost better if there's bigger blocks coming in, like groups of people who want to, say a community group coming in and there's 20 or 30 people. That group would then be together, and you'd use up less seats?
It's actually the other way around. If people came in groups of 2, we would sell a lot more tickets. But you know, at this point, it's kind of an interesting, you know, I look at the maps every day of the seats that are selling, and I'm like, I can't tell you how, I have no idea what the capacity is going to be, but it is, you know, it looks full when you're standing on the stage. We had 173 people for our first performance last Saturday, and it looked relatively full when I walked out on stage to do my speech before the show.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, the good thing is we can get a ticket to go somewhere and enjoy something, a live performance, and that's so important for people to be able to do. It's nice that they're going to be getting started, and at some point that'll change again. Yeah.
Oh, and who knows?
For the better, we'll hope.
We hope. What's funny is I was telling someone I had a lot of anxiety driving to work on Saturday for that first show, because I had no idea how audience members would react even though they knew in advance all these protocols, I had no idea how they would react to it, and I really had no idea how they would feel in the auditorium, and I was extremely happy that the show was amazing. It was an excellent performance, and we did it without an intermission, which some of our shows are going to have intermissions, but many of them we're going to try to do without an intermission.
Nice.
So that it's not congregating in the lobby. But overwhelmingly, people stopped me in the lobby after the show and said, "Thank you for reopening. We missed this. We really wanted to be back." And so it seems like the prevailing opinion was, we are so happy to be back seeing live performance again.
That we'll jump through the hoops we need to do to do it. They really will.
And everybody just sort of said, "Oh, okay," and they filled out the form.
Yeah.
There was really nobody that looked at us like, "What?"
Yeah.
So it was very nice.
Good, excellent. Okay, so you had your kickoff,
We
and
did.
that went well. So what's coming up that people who haven't been there yet can look forward to?
Well, it's actually a pretty exciting season. It's kind of an interesting. If you look at previous seasons, this one is a bit different in the types of shows we have, because they were all shows that I had contracted for last year and the spring of the previous year that we had to reschedule, because we had contracts, and when we canceled, the deal in a contract usually is you have to try to reschedule before you cancel the performance.
Okay.
So it's part of the legal
Thing that
issue
you
of
have to do.
contract. So we put a season together that was kind of not in the order that I would normally have put things in, but it ended up being pretty good. Coming up, we have a fabulous dance company called Cercle Rivera Dance Theater from Chicago. Ben Vereen, who many people will know as a legendary Broadway performer and currently is on a CBS show called Be Positive, which has been on for a couple of years, has a long career in film. He's coming on the 16th of October to do a song and dance show for us. One of our perennial audience favorites is Jim Witer. We've had Jim 10 times in our seasons, and he does a different show every time, so he's got a lot of different performances. This one is a tribute to Carole King and James Taylor. And then an exciting show in November is called, I'm calling it Songs for Syria, because it's 3 completely different kinds of artists who are all from Syria. One's a classical violinist, one's a spoken word artist, and one is a band that does sort of blues and funk. And they're all amazing performers. They all know each other, and so it's themed around Syria. Christmas in Killarney is our big happy Irish Christmas celebration this year. Second City comes back every year to do a show for us. That's been a difficult one in some ways, because all the members of Second City are in a union. They're in Actors Equity, and so we have extra protocols and regulations that we have to implement because of the union of actors, but we managed to jump through all those hoops, so we're going to be fine.
They're not coming from Killarney over to here.
Oh, no, that's the Irish show in Christmas. They're touring the country. Some of them are Irish, actually, but most of them are based in the U.S.
Okay.
Second City is coming in
Second
January.
City, right.
And they are based in Chicago, as you know. So.
That's right. Okay, well, that's good. Okay, wait, let's go back to the Cercle River Dance Theater. So, what kind of dance? I mean, I know what river dance is. Is that traditional river dance? Because
no. So it's just called Cercle Rivera, because that was the names of the last names of the people who founded the company.
So I can put my glasses on, Tommy.
There you go. They do. It's a modern dance company from Chicago, but their work over the last several years has really become all about exploring identity and culture. So their dancers are from many, many different countries and ethnicities, and a lot of their work discusses issues of immigration, or there's a wonderful work they're doing in the program for us that's all about the African diaspora, so about slavery and the diaspora of African peoples. So their work tries to intersect with social justice as much as possible, but it's beautiful, elegant, contemporary, and modern dance. I think audiences will be very surprised if they don't know this company.
No, that sounds very, very beautiful and interesting. And so then you go from that to Ben Vereen, who everybody does know, and he's doing things from Broadway.
Mostly Broadway. He does a tribute to Sammy Davis Jr. at one point in the show. So some of it's Great American Songbook kind of songs, but mostly Broadway, which is his background.
Yeah, which is great and fun. And he's been here before, you mentioned. Okay. So now, is the Songs from Syria and Small Island Big Song, are they connected at all?
No. Small Island Big Song, actually, they're my 2 shows in the season that are the most exciting to me are Small Island Big Song and the Fourth Light Project, both of which are in the spring. Small Island Big Song is a group of 9 indigenous artists that are from small islands in either the Indian or the Pacific Ocean that are all performing their native music in their native costumes. But when they started to put the show together, they discovered, even though these islands are separated by thousands and thousands of miles, that there was a lot of similarity in the music, in the costuming, in the culture. So it's really a show to celebrate indigenous cultures from around the world, but also to discuss climate change, because all of these islands are in danger of disappearing as ocean levels rise. So these cultures are in danger of being wiped off the planet if ocean levels continue to rise. So it's a wonderful show that has a lot of educational component built into it, but it's also highly entertaining because the music and the dance is extraordinary.
Well, it was something. It would be something out of the mainstream that we would normally hear. I think so. That makes it, super interesting to have that kind of experience.
And it's they originally put the show together because they did a documentary first, and then they discovered doing the documentary, wait a minute, that we could do this live. So we are going to screen the documentary the week prior to the show. It'll be a free screening in the theater so that people can see the documentary before they see the performance.
Well, that would make the performance really interesting then, because you have some background.
Absolutely.
So for something like that, you need to kind of connect those two things. Well, you could do either one by themselves, but if you really wanted the whole experience, you should do both things. So ahead of time, how would people find out to do that?
They would need to go to our website initially, or if they're not on our email list, add to our email list, because I'm doing a lot of digital marketing this year. We opted this year not to print a brochure. First, because of the cost. It's extremely expensive, but also we didn't know if the season was really going to happen and if things were going to have to change, and I didn't want to spend a gigantic amount of money mailing out 40,000 brochures and then suddenly have everything change. So we've done a digital brochure, which is online. So if they go to our website, everything is there.
Okay, and they're just going to Moraine Valley Community College, and then they'll find
it.
The thing there. Because some of these things you really need to plan ahead of time if you want to get a ticket. I mean, especially since we have limited capacity in the theaters, that you're going to want to get your tickets ahead of time.
Well, and that's one of the things I'm trying to urge people is that in a normal season, we have maybe 1 or 2 shows that will sell out, and we have a wait list on because we have 600 seats. But now, with 250 to 275, some of these shows are going to sell out pretty quickly. So, if you want to see something, it's best to go ahead and get your seats now. And also because of the way that seats get blocked out after people buy tickets, some of the prime seat locations go away very quickly. So it's best to, buy early, buy often, is what I tell people.
That's right. And, it's something to look forward to then. And, you're going to be able to go there. Okay, so it sounds like, now, did these come from last year where you were able to rebook them and bring them over to this year?
Mostly. I think maybe 1 or 2 shows in this season I actually booked after we had finished putting the season together. But Small Island Big Song was one that we were supposed to present last year. And they were one of the first to cancel because all of these artists are flying in from different parts of the world. So the rest of the world was shut down really before we were during the pandemic. So the artists coming from overseas were the hardest to reschedule because their window of opportunity of when they could come back was very tight. So this, and then we have a show, we generally bring back every few years the Tibetan monks from Drepung Losling Monastery, and we couldn't fit them into this season because they couldn't get their visas from India in time. So they're coming in the fall of 22 in our next season.
Okay, well, at least you got them scheduled for coming then.
Yeah.
That's good. So there's a lot of, I guess we would expect that somewhat. It's not strictly entertainment, but it's cultural entertainment where we can learn about other cultures and what do they do in their music and their dance and all of that, which is a great education. So knowing that, is this something that is good for kids, families, every age group? What would you suggest people?
I would say I don't think there's anything in our season except for Second City that really is geared more towards an adult audience. So we do not recommend children coming to that show because they are going to be a little off color from time to time. But everything else is perfectly suitable for children to come to.
It seems like some of this would be really good for kids to come.
Definitely. Like the Small Island Big Song would be fantastic. Because, for us, bringing cultural experiences like that, getting kids to come to that is amazing because we're getting them when they're young to start understanding different cultures and looking outside of a box that they might be in their world. So, and now especially because we can't travel as much as we were yet, really the only way to get these experiences is getting them locally right now.
Do you have any school groups that you do performances for?
We used to, but what we decided over the years is that we just didn't have the staffing or the infrastructure to do that on our own. So we do rent the facility to outside groups from time to time, and some of the groups that rent from us do that work. So we felt like it was a great compromise. So we couldn't do it ourselves, but now we have other companies that come in and do reach out and bring school groups in. Now this semester, they're not doing anything right now because school groups, as you know, are not really traveling right now, but they are gearing up for the spring.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, because it seems like just a great opportunity for a school group, even if it's not younger kids, but high school age kids and so forth, to have the opportunity to see some of that. So that's nice that they can go to other things. So now these are all, professional. What about the students there? I mean, are there things that the students come into the Fine and Performing Arts Center and do?
Absolutely. So we have a very active music program as well as a theater program. Now during last year when everything was shut down, the theater program did nothing until the summer. They did an outdoor Shakespeare this summer. But the music program, interestingly enough, in the fall of 2020 began rehearsing again because they had the protocols in place to safely rehearse the concert band, the jazz ensemble, percussion ensemble, the chorale, the flute choir, and the orchestra. So all of them were rehearsing. So in the end of the fall semester, we worked with our IT department and developed the ability to live stream their end of the semester performances. Now they were performing to an empty auditorium, but we were able to live stream that. So what we're doing this season, which I think is kind of exciting, is that because we can have an audience, those shows are all free. The music performances are all free. We are letting people come live to see those. You have to reserve a ticket, even though it's free because we need to keep the social distancing. But we're also live streaming, so we're doing both for those shows, which I think is exciting.
It's great.
Yep. And actually we're doing that for 3 of our main stage shows. Ben Vereen, Jim Witer, and the show Songs from Syria are all going to be live streamed as well as in person. So people, if they don't want to come or can't, can buy a ticket to those 3 performances as well.
Okay, so if they wanted to do that, is that simply go onto the site, you say, I want that experience?
Yep, you'll see 2 different buy ticket links on those 3 shows, and one is for in-person and one is for virtual. Now the music program, obviously those are all free, but you still, like I said, you still need to actually reserve a seat for those.
Yeah, it's, of course, the best to be there and experience it. But the fact that we've had this virtual possibility that now everyone's pretty comfortable with. And I mean, I've seen a lot of programs that I would have attended, but they weren't available for attending. And to be able to still be part of that is really great. So I think if the viewers haven't really done that or haven't gone to a concert or a play or whatever that way, it's something that they could consider doing, especially if they don't feel comfortable. I'm wondering too if this is going to extend indefinitely, because if you have people who just aren't able to have transportation, or they're kind of homebound, I wonder if this will be something that is offered just always.
We think so. In my industry, this is a big conversation going on in the performing arts industry all over the world. And I'm involved in a lot of national arts organizations, and this is a huge topic of conversation. And we're all sort of learning how to rewrite contracts now moving forward into the future to add this component in, because in the past it was just never a consideration. And now we're creating new contracting language to say, okay, if we're going to live stream, then obviously in the future the performers need to get paid something for that, because we're making extra money from them. So we're kind of in a negotiation phase. But I've talked to the college leadership about this, and they have agreed with me that, particularly with our music programs, that this is something we want to keep. Because some students have family all over the country that can't come in for a show. As you mentioned, we have so many assisted living facilities and retirement homes and places like that in this area. where many of our former patrons, have now moved, let's say, into assisted living and they can't come to the theater. It's wonderful that we might be able to offer this to people. And then, there are going to be people who just don't feel comfortable yet going out and being with strangers in a public place. This is a perfect opportunity for them to be able to have some kind of cultural experience from home. So I feel like we're expanding our ability to reach out to our community. As a community college, that's part of our mission, is to be community focused. And the Fine and Performing Arts Center, along with the Health and Fitness Center and a few other people on campus, are really the primary outward-facing organizations on campus that bring community members in.
That is so true. And I mean, you mentioned that students do have people outside the local area, and those people want to see their family member or friend do their performance or their music or whatever, and they can't. I mean, we actually have done it where we're out of state at the time that a family member is performing somewhere and we can't go.
You can't
Actually,
go.
No one could go.
Well, there was that.
So it was nice to still be able, that they could do it and we could watch them do it.
Unfortunately, one of the things that we wish we could do is with our theater program, we really wish that we could stream the theater performances, but there's so many extra levels of copyright issues on top of that we don't think we're going to be able to do that with the live theater performances, except the fall performance because it's an original work by a local playwright, and the students are helping write it. So we think we'll be able to stream the November theater performances, but not the ones in the spring.
Yeah, that makes sense. Unfortunately, that is true. That that's something we have to just reckon with.
Well, and that's one of the reasons people ask me frequently, like with these music programs, is it on demand? Can I watch it later? And no, because that's a copyright issue too. All the copyright holders have told us you can stream it live because technically your website is a venue. So it's part of your college, but you can't stream it again. You can't show it again. Because if you show it again, then there's a whole new contract and all sorts of extra rights that you have to pay. So right now it's all live only.
Okay, it's complicated sometimes.
It is complicated.
Yeah. But at least it's an option. I think that's a wonderful thing. Okay, so there's a lot of things coming up, and there's a lot of seats available. You just have to act quickly if that's what you want to do. And is there any other thing coming up that the viewers would want to know about?
I would say we have some amazing stuff in the spring. We have New York Gilbert and Sullivan players doing Pirates of Penzance. We have 2 wonderful dance companies. But I mentioned earlier, one of the most exciting performances is a group called Niaz with the Fourth Light Project. We had this in the fall of 2017 as part of a program we were doing then. It's one of the most extraordinary experiences I've ever had in a theater, was sitting and experiencing this performance of the Fourth Light Project. There is nothing like it. It's hard to even explain what it is. I would say go to our website and look at the video, because we put a video on our website with like a teaser of the show. It's unbelievable.
Well, I mean, words like body mapping technique.
Yep.
I mean, I don't even know what that means.
So this is what happens in that show. It's based loosely on the life story of a 7th century Sufi mystic named Rabia al-Basri, who was a female, which was highly unusual in that culture, but she was a female Sufi mystic, and it follows her life story through music and dance. But they have cameras set up at the front of the stage that are aimed at the performers that link into a computer. So they're mapping the movements of the performers. The computer takes that movement and then creates geometric patterns from it that are projected on and behind the performers. So as the performers are moving, there's moving scenery around them that's based on their body and how they're moving and changing. It's unbelievable. The technology is just amazing.
That is pretty incredible, and sounds like just a really cool experience to be there.
It is.
So,
and they're going to be on campus for about, like the Small Island Big Song people, they're going to be on campus for about 3 or 4 days prior, doing workshops. So, and those are often open to the public. So that's another thing that we can send information out about, or they can go on the website for that information.
So with the workshop, you can actually attend the workshop and learn something about their technique. Is that what they're showing you?
Some of them, like one of the components of the Fourth Light Project is a whirling dervish dancer. So there is a traditional dervish in the show, and she actually, last time she was on campus, taught a class on whirling, like how to do it. I fell down, by the way, but I tried it.
Whirling. I mean, whirling is like twirling, only.
It's a phenomenal thing to watch, and she explains the history of it, how it's rooted into the religion and the mysticism of the culture, but also she technically shows people how to do it, and it's just an amazing experience to be able to work with somebody who that's their life. You know, that's her spiritual practice, but also her expression of herself as well. It's pretty amazing.
And the roots of learning about what is a whirling dervish, I mean, we use that expression, but obviously it's not the way it was actually generated to start with.
You're going to learn a lot about that.
Yeah.
And then they have other workshops that are more educational workshops about the show itself and about Rabia al-Basri. And then Small Island Big Song people will teach classes about their cultures, but also about climate change. There's a big component of that show that they have a number of women in the show, and a lot of these cultures are very patriarchal cultures, but these women have risen through that and are expressing their themselves through this. So they're going to do a class on women's entrepreneurship in the cultural arts, which I think is a fascinating topic.
That really will be.
Yeah.
So actually going on the website, like reading all of the opportunities that are coming up ahead and getting yourself like slotted in to do some of these, because I think this would be a great experience for people to have prior to the experience in the theater, or just outside of that at all, just learn something different. And it's nice that the community is able to participate in something like that. They don't have to be a registered student there.
Yeah. And that's really sort of the heart of what we do at the Fine and Performing Arts Center. Is, I mean, we want as much student engagement as possible, but really our primary audience is the community. You know, we really want to bring community members onto campus to experience things that they might not experience. You know, and of course, I throw many things into the season that are purely there because they're fun. Amazing fun shows that you're not going to, you know, go away, you know, having some profound experience of learning something new. You're just going to have a really good time at the theater. I like to have that mix, because you want pure entertainment, but you also want things that are entertaining yet educational at the same time. A balance.
True. But we really all need some pure entertainment.
Absolutely.
We deserve it right now, I think.
And that, I can tell you, that's why the two shows that are selling out the fastest right now are Jim Witer and Christmas in Killarney, because people who have been to Jim Witer before love him, and it's pure entertainment. And Christmas in Killarney, hello, it's an happy Irish Christmas show. We knew that was going to sell out.
Yeah. Now, wait, I want to talk about Jim Witer before we close up today, because I'm not sure I know what Jim Witer does.
So the very first time we presented Jim, he had a show called The Piano Men, which was a tribute to Billy Joel and Elton John from the 70s. So it was sort of a best of their hits from the 70s. He plays the piano and sings and has a wonderful backup band with him. He's from Canada, from right outside of Toronto. And that was the first time we presented him, I don't know, 12 years ago. And it was a wild hit, because he's such an amazing performer and so engaging and very talented. So we brought him back the next year with the sequel to that show. But over time, as he was touring around the country and in Canada, he realized that he needed to have more than two shows. So he kept adding shows. So we had a Simon and Garfunkel show, and an early 70s folk rock one, and a Beatles show, and a Christmas show. So every time he created a new show, I would say, sure, come back.
Yeah.
Because the audience who has seen him love him. He's like a you know, a fan favorite of our core audience. So great piano player, great singer, and this is the first show that he's toured where he has an additional performer that's headlined. Her name is Giselle Sanderson. So that's how they can do the Carole King, James Taylor thing, because they can now sing together.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds great. Like
it's great show.
Okay.
You know, there's a little bit of our first artist, Vitaly Beckman, last week was also from Canada, and there's been a little bit of drama getting people from Canada here for shows, because of COVID protocols and testing. But we worked it all out, and we think it's going to be fine.
Okay, good. Yeah, that border has been a little tricky.
Yeah.
But okay, well, Tommy, thank you so much for coming in today, and yay to things. and that we can go watch over at
Absolutely. Yay,
Moraine
yay for
Valley.
theater again.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I just hope so much that you'll go and check out Moraine Valley Community College website. Go take a look at all the things that are there. I mean, my gosh, there's something for everyone here. If something isn't appealing to you, there's something else coming that would be appealing to you, although I don't see what wouldn't be. I mean, this is all great stuff. So thanks for watching us. Get out there and enjoy the world, and we'll see you next time around Payless. Bye-bye.